Welcome to the R2RB podcast series, where we interview local musicians and get to know them on a more personal basis. I'm Deb Lamata, your host for R2RB podcast series. This podcast is about the local musician's journey, their influences, their creative process, and so much more. We'll also highlight their music and let you know where they will be playing their next gig. So sit back, relax, and enjoy R2RB podcast series. Jim Rezac, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. So I like to ask two questions to get us warmed up. And the first one is, if you could have a superpower, which one would you have?
It's probably going to sound corny or like, but I mean this. I wish my superpower is not to get too deep into this, but with everything going on in our political world out there, seems like everything is now. I wish I had the superpower to, including myself, to know that it's, I don't know how to rephrase that. The superpower would be to have the ability to make people just stop with the arguing and listen, actually, just including myself, because I need a reminder sometimes. So that, I think we need it. And that's as good a superpower as you could hope for.
That would be a great one, because you're right about that. All right. So what's your favorite app on your phone and why?
My guilty pleasure is TikTok. I love going on it, and because I find the stuff that's funny on that more so than some of the other apps. And I have a son who does a shameless plug here, has a TikTok channel, and is very successful on it. But I love watching him, and he doesn't even know I'm there half the time. He's doing lives and everything else.
And what's his channel?
Big Gaming 64. He specializes in only video games that are in the horror genre.
Really? Well, that's different.
I love just, having a cup of coffee or in the middle of the day watching TikTok videos, to be honest.
Well, and honestly, I think we all need to sometimes just stop and have that moment that you can just like release whatever's in your head.
Right. Yeah.
Decompress.
Yes.
Before you even get started sometimes. So you live in Delaware presently. Are you originally from Delaware?
I was born in New York. My mom and dad were both from New York. My dad was in the Air Force. So by the time I was 3, I moved out, went to Virginia, Okinawa, and but I've been here since I was 8. So for me, I feel like I'm a Delawarean. God help you if you tell me otherwise, But no, so I feel like.
Yeah, it's a great state. I mean, I'm a transplant, but my parents have been here going on 19 years, so it's a second home to me. Yeah, there's so much to do here. Live music.
There you go. Live music.
So that brings me to my next question. Who is Jim the musician?
I'm a songwriter, and I'm a musician-songwriter. That happened later. I've been playing guitar all my life, took lessons as a kid. And I'm often asked, why didn't you start writing music at an earlier, it was only 13 years ago I started writing music, and I didn't have anything to say, I guess.
But you got the bug and you've been writing all that time.
Yes, I haven't been cured yet.
Well, that's good. We don't want to cure you. Yeah. You have to keep writing. So before we get any further, where can people get in contact with you?
They can find me all over. So, I'm on under Jim Rezac Music. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, but they can contact me. I have a website that is my first name at my first and last name. So it's jim@jimrezac.com.
All right. So you've always had music in your life, and at what age did you feel that you really were going to keep that music in your life and do something with it?
That is a great question, because I think we have a tendency to look back and say, "Oh, I've always wanted to do this," but no, there was a time like coming out of high school, I thought I wanted to go into art. I knew that music was going to be in my life in some capacity, probably in college when I first started playing out in front of people, but I didn't know it was going to be my life even later. Kind of an interesting journey. But yeah, I knew I was always going to play guitar, but that's different. I didn't realize I was going to make my living and my passion music till about 15, 20 years ago.
And do you always play guitar from the beginning?
Yes, that's been my instrument. I've branched off, of course, anyone who plays guitar probably dabbles in bass and stuff, and I've done that. But I play a little banjo, ukulele. I know enough on keyboards to be dangerous. I wouldn't tell anyone I played piano, but I know how to make chords, good for recording. So.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
And so did you have a mentor, teacher, or were you self-taught with your music, playing guitar?
It's funny. I just got done saying that I didn't know music was going to be in my life, yet I took all kinds of music courses in college. And to back up and answer your question, I had a teacher that taught out of the Mel Bay book, and he taught 3 of us at the same time. And he was my teacher. I wouldn't call him a mentor, but I was like in 7th grade, in 7th and 8th grade. But then I switched to a guy named C.J. Gagnon, and he taught here. He played in the bowling alley here, and I mean this with all due respect, but remember the old Laverne and Shirley, Lenny and Squiggy?
Yes.
He looked like Squiggy, the little guy with the grease hair. Looked exactly like him, but never. What I liked about this guy is he never wrote anything down. Everything you had to rely on your memory or whatever. So, and it also made you go home and practice, before you forgot it. So that guy made, I remember buying my first electric guitar I bought for myself was a Telecaster because of him. He played one. That's all I needed to know about it. Well, he played one, I want one. So I guess you can call that a mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you still in contact, or did you stay in contact? That was just...
No, not at all. I talked to someone at least 20 years ago that mentioned him. Even at that time, they weren't totally sure whether he was, still with us. I wish I had stayed in touch with him. That would have been cool.
So you do write a lot of your songs. How did you get to that point where you felt that you had said before that you thought you didn't have anything to say. So did you get to a point where you felt you had something that you wanted to put on paper that started that process?
It was more of I remember the moment it happened. I, like every other guitarist or musician, I'm making an assumption here, but I dabbled in stuff, but it wasn't any good. I tried to write something, and I didn't have the discipline to stick with it and get the craft in there. About 13 years ago, I joined a band called Runaway Train. It was an Americana band, and I thought I was going up to be in a rockabilly band. The guy told me on the phone, he goes, "Hey, we were planning to start a rockabilly band." It's Mike Nauman, the drummer, and he said, "Hey, I got a band for us while you were on vacation, so we're going to meet with them Tuesday." And I said, "Great." And he goes, "Oh yeah, bring your banjo." I knew we weren't playing rockabilly, so it was an Americana band with a mandolin and a female singer and guitarist. And the first practice, I found out that both the 2 lead singers each had 3 original songs in the set list. And after 2 practices, I went home and I dug up those bits and pieces that I rolling around my head. Some of them were for 15 years. I just didn't have the gumption, didn't have the drive, motivation to finish them. I went back and finished all 3 of them, and all 3 of them ended up in our set list. So, and that was more just like, I want to write. It wasn't necessarily that I had to say something, of importance. And it was fun. And then I haven't stopped since then.
No, you haven't. What is the process like when you're writing? Do you just jot down notes, or when you think of something, or do you actually sit down and really have a writing session?
First thing that happens is the inspiration. And this is where I've changed over the years, because I just kept waiting for inspiration to come up with the second verse and finish the song and that's not how it works. And I'm not making this up. This sounds like one of those stories that, rock stars say, "Oh, I wrote this song when I woke up in the middle of the night." When you start writing a lot, I think, or doing anything, maybe sometimes even before your eyes open in the morning is my creative time. I've had half an eyelid open and I had a tune enter. That's usually how it happens. The melody is rolling around my head. And then I try to find, it's not like, so hopefully to answer your question, I don't sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to write a song about my mother, or about my son, or about this, or about that, or I'm going to write a song about war. I don't really do that.
Okay.
I wait for a melody hits me, and then it brings out an emotion or thoughts or feelings, and then I go with that. Even though I didn't think I was going to be writing about that subject. And that's right. Kind of how I do it. Then it becomes a writing session. I sit down and, okay, let me get out the rhyming dictionary and all that.
Because I know each person's process is different. And early morning. Are you a morning person? Or
Definitely. Yeah, it's just that's when things kickstart for me. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite song that you've written?
If you ask most songwriters, they'll tell you that their favorite song is the one that they either just finished or the one they're working on. I won't do that to you. I'll give you a proper answer. I love playing the song Connected. That one was written. I had some feelings going around, and that was definitely written with my sons in mind. My two sons, I have two great sons. And to this day, it's one of my favorite songs to play. I would have to say, I don't want to give you a list when you ask for one song, but the trade-off would be there's another song I wrote called Flexible Flyer that I just enjoy playing. It's got a riff in it that's has a slide, and I just enjoy the whole mechanics of it as well as the song.
That's great. I love it. So how did you handle the transition forming publicly to being shut down during COVID-19? I know you have the YouTube channel. Did you have that prior to COVID-19, or was that because of COVID-19?
That was definitely because my aforementioned, I love using that word, my aforementioned son on TikTok, Zachary, told me, he said, Dad, you gotta start streaming. And he got me set up, did some of the technical stuff, told me what to do and not do. And yeah, that, of course, it's not a live gig similar to like, playing a local venue where you get paid and everything. And all that has to grow and stuff. But that's how I got on YouTube. And then every Sunday I started doing it, and I love it. And it's like
kept you connected to your fans, to the people that were going to see you live or coming to see you.
Yes, because you could still say, hey guys, I just came up with a new song. Whereas before, you introduce it, hey guys, I came, playing down at the ice cream place here, I'd say, hey, I got a new song, Well, now weekly I was saying, hey, I'm working on a new song, or I got this. So it kept people tied to you, I guess, and kept you connected.
Absolutely. And I think it helps so many musicians during that time to stay connected with their fans and people in general.
I say this, to pay the bills, I teach guitar, and I thought I was going to go out of business. I think I had a stupid amount of students, it was like something like 70 students, which had been the highest amount. And I instantly, with COVID, lost 15, but that was still, 55 students I had that were going to do the Zoom thing. So I did that, and I thought, wait, the Zoom, it's more challenging to do a guitar lesson than it is to do a Zoom where I'm playing my own music or a live stream. So I got into it. I loved it, dove into it.
Have you done that since then with teaching?
Yes. I've been a little lax this last month, but I stayed doing it every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Twitch, and that would be under the word Telecaster, because I have a guitar that looks like Delaware.
I've seen it.
And but I got to come up with another time, because I discovered last year that Sunday at 7 p.m. during football season wasn't the best time to have a live. So, but if anyone wants to hear that, go to Twitch, find Telecaster, and there's a schedule, and I will be update that, and I will be making a decision as to when I'm going to do that.
And well, now you can listen to my show that's on Sunday night at 7 p.m.
Yes, see, and that's the other thing, because I started seeing your posts. I said, God, that's right what I'm doing. Yeah, because, and no offense to football fans, it's great, but I'm not so I would probably rather tune into your show than
every once in a while I'll give the football scores during the show.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Got to keep everybody happy. So doing the live streams on the social media, has that helped you? Well, you were doing live before that. I mean, you've been in front of audiences, for a long time. So how was that transition from all that into your soon to be released music video?
Thank you for asking, first of all. That would be, again, the aforementioned Connected. I have actually had that out, but I never had an official music video. So that's coming out December 2nd, I think it is. I think it made me realize, since I was still connected with people, it made me realize that, hey, I need to, there was a time I wasn't doing any live stream, then I was. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, now that I'm getting into that, I got to make sure I have some other content up there. And so I realized that, and someone helped me realize that I was actually approached by the videographer who heard me play, and he said, hey, have you ever, it wasn't like I said, I hunted down a videographer because of, the whole COVID thing. But yeah.
No, I saw your post on that you had said that videographer had come to you. So I think that's pretty cool. And you're doing it a little bit different. I also read one of your posts with this music video. You are promoting it a little bit further out than just not the week before.
Yeah. So real funny. I have a student who I hope I can mention his name. Let's just call him Nikita. I won't give his last name, but he knows who he is. But he's about 17 now, and he has really given me a ton of advice on stuff, sometimes very bluntly. And he found out I'd finish a song and throw it up on Spotify. Finish a song, he goes, no, don't, you knucklehead, don't do that. He didn't say knucklehead, but he said, don't. I said, what's the benefit of scheduling it out? He said, because curators or the people on Spotify, people with playlists and stuff, they have an opportunity now if it's uploaded to Spotify where they can find it, but it isn't released yet, they can check it out to see if it's a good fit for their playlist. If you get on someone's playlist, then you're going to get more. So anyway, that's where I got into the whole scheduling out thing. The video, I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in December 2nd. I set it up so there's a 5-minute countdown. I'm hoping to, and you can set up a chat box where people, if they want to, can tune in with me, and we can count down with our cups of coffee in our separate spaces and have a little bit of fun with it.
Where is that going to be released on?
YouTube is, so December 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a couple of minutes before, it will be, and I'll start posting that on Facebook. I did post on Facebook, but I think I can post a link now that lets you go and click on it and get an alert. It's not, you can't view it now, but you can at least have it alert you. Yeah, I think
that's cool.
Some of the people that follow me on my weekly streams and stuff, we get to having some fun, some of the chatter going back and forth. So this is one way of telling them how much I appreciate them too. Like, hey, I'm going to do this and we're all going to, yes, it's for me, but it's kind of a different way to share stuff with people instead of just saying, hey, go check my music out on YouTube. It's Absolutely. Like, hey, let's all get together for a party.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're building up momentum for that release day, because people are now like, they've got it in their mind and you keep reminding them and they can't wait to get there. And it's like, you're going to build it, you build it up. So December 2nd, we'll be all there with our cup of Joe. I love it.
It could be.
So did the videographer then put it all together for you, or did you help with that process?
So let me tell you about this guy. His name is, I was up at the Fire, which is a place on Girard Avenue in Philly, and I was just playing an open mic. So it wasn't a paying gig, but it's one of my favorite places to travel to. And I go up there with my guitar. I get 10 minutes on stage, and that's it. But to me, that's where I love doing that. And one night I went up there, and this guy came up to me, Drew. Rusko, his name is from New Jersey, and he just had this neat vibe. He said, we're kind of vibing with each other, I guess. And he said, have you considered getting a video done? He already is in the business. He does like weddings, stuff like that, but he really wants to work with people that he feels a connection with. He heard some of my songs, and I guess he felt that. And I love what's going on in his eyes and his head, because I'm like, seems like every idea he comes up with, I'm like, oh my God, that'd be great. Oh my God, that'd be great. He offered to come down, and not to give it all away, but we filmed it all down here. Some local places.
I can't wait.
And if you're familiar with Wyoming, you might want to check it out. We got some scenic shots and footage. I'll tell you, just off of Route 10 in Lebanon. I went and played by the water and pretended I was fishing and all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh my God,
I felt so bad because he was bringing his A game. Oh, Ringo's here, my cat. He heard I was being interviewed and wants to get up on.
He's so cute.
Oh my God, yeah. So, but he brought a drone. Well, we're 4 miles from the base or 2 miles from the base. He couldn't get that thing up. He wouldn't get an authorization to get that up, but he was going to get some. And I said, oh my gosh, I picked the site too. I ran it by him. I said, what do you think of this place? He said, great. And then when we found this out, he says, you mean you didn't know there was an air base here? And I said, well, yeah, I guess I didn't think of it.
Oops.
But it came out very well.
Oh, I can't wait. That is exciting. So yeah, keep posting on Facebook and we'll all be there December 2nd. That is for sure. Wow.
I will.
Oh my gosh. And so you teach guitar and you have a studio and you are in Wyoming.
I am in the what we refer to affectionately as the old ice house. This is 100-year-old, probably plus 100-year-old building back before they had, refrigeration, what have you. This was a cold storage, and I got a fun fact for people. This little area in Wyoming was every bit as much the peach capital of the
That's right.
of the country.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's got some history behind it. It's great. There's some neat little businesses here, as you probably know, and I come in here sometimes, and if I'm not teaching, I teach Monday through Friday, and I have somewhere around 50 students currently. And when I'm not doing that, in between, I'm laying down a drum track or doing some mixing, or so. And that's something that was new. I didn't record. I knew the basics of recording and on paper, stuff like that, but I never got behind some gear and equipment and put hands on, and it's been about a year now. Lots of mistakes, and I go back and listen to some of the older stuff and I go, ooh, but I'm enjoying it, and I can get buried in here sometimes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, get lost in it all. Yeah. I'm sure. And I do know of the building. When you're there late at night, are there any strange sounds going on in the building?
The walls are 2 feet thick, so if there's any phantoms or ghosts or anything there, I can't hear them. So no, not yet.
And
but
so
thanks but thanks for saying that now.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story afterwards. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And so how do people get in touch with you for guitar lessons?
Well, I have another Facebook page. That's the Delaware Guitar School, and I advertise my number. I don't know if it's okay. My number 302-632-7282, but they can knock on my door here at the Ice House. Look for the yellow Jeep Renegade with big orange guitars on it. They can knock on my door. They can call me. They can send me a message on Facebook.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
Go to the website, whatever.
I think everybody needs music lessons in your life. It's a universal language, I always say.
Yeah, and that's true. And I can tell, might not know much about you, but you come across like that, like music is very important to you. You pick that up from people. And,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you have a group on Facebook called the Fill-In Station. Yeah. And what was your inspiration for creating the Fill-In Station?
I am glad you asked, because this is something I'm doing for some of my favorite people, or the people who have supported me, that tuned in weekly, or that come to gigs, or click like on my YouTube videos, or follow me, share, or stuff like that. And I came up with something called the Fill-In Station, and it is a private group, although you don't have to pay to get it. You just if you go to Jim Rezac Music on Facebook, you can click on the group called the Fill-In. It doesn't have a G on the end. The Fill-In Station, and the idea was, most of my gigs I'm wearing some sort of gas station shirt, and you've seen that, So I wanted there to be some kind of branding, I guess, there. But yeah, and like just today, I posted something that had nothing to do with my music. It was like, hey, what are you guys into? What's your projects? What are you doing? And people are sharing, like, yeah, I paint, and I did this, or blah, blah, blah. I'm working on a book, or what, so it's a time and a place for us to talk about all the people that have shown me so much. And what I do with it is, like, when I do have something new, I'll say, hey guys, this isn't going to be released until blah, 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 but you guys can hear this, or I will share things with them, like, hey, I'm working on a new song. It's got this title, or it's about that. And I won't be talking to anybody else about that, so that's fun. What I haven't done it yet, but that is another place that I'm going to start live streaming on. That's why there's been a little lag in my Twitch streams, but I'm gonna keep them both going.
Sometimes there's just not enough hours in a day.
True that.
So true that. Yeah, and I'm part of that Fill-In Station, and I enjoy it. It's such, it's your family.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I like, when people like you, that when they actually, I throw something up there and I see the comments. It's fun.
And that's the Fill-In Station, people. Go find them. All right. So
thank you for asking about that.
you're welcome. Yeah, because
cool.
I just thought that was a great idea, and the way that you've set it up, where everybody can come together and just hang out.
Well, I saw what was going on with my live Twitch live streams on Twitch. People, hey Karen, hey Joanne, hey, and they're all, hey, how's your health? And they're asking questions. How's your mom doing? And I saw this on the chat, and I thought, okay, this be neat to like extend this to a group that doesn't have to wait till Sunday to catch up with each other.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the inspiration behind all.
I love it. Switching gears a bit. There's a podcast, not a podcast, that your music has won an award for. Please tell me about this.
Yes. We have some talented people in Dover, Delaware. Chris Polo wrote this podcast, and she had been working on it for a couple of years. I'll give you the shortened story because it's a good story, but they approached me at a songwriter circle I was doing at the Kent County Theater Guild, the Patchwork Playhouse. The Kent County Theater Guild is a group that goes in, but this is the Patchwork Playhouse. I always get that mixed up. And her husband, Mike Polo, who is the, I guess you'd call it the engineer, puts all the editing and what have you. He's also one of the main characters. And character is a good word because this Mucky's Landing is about a fictional town somewhere near Bowers Beach. And if you're from Delaware, you're going to howl. It's funny. Might not be little kid friendly. I'm just going to go out and say that. It is a podcast, but almost like an old radio show.
That's so
cool. Sound
cool.
Effects and everything. They approached me to write some music, and they already had a song, one of my older songs that I'm working on now to record and get up, called An American Song. And that's what they had in mind. But what I delivered to them was a little bit more like Tom Waits. It was gritty and dark and whatever. They loved it.
Wow.
So I did this song, and then they got through the first season, then COVID hit. But they started submitting their works to festivals that handle content that isn't, that Hollywood ignores or whatever, And we traveled up there in September of 21, 2 years ago now, and went up there. We were nominated. They were nominated for Best Outstanding Comedy for a podcast. My song was nominated for the and won the award they won that award. They were nominated for editing, I believe. I was nominated for best theme song for a.
Wow.
And, I was a little nervous because I heard some of the other stuff, and it was very, hip, cutting edge, EDM. I don't, it's a bunch of millennials. You couldn't pry the smiles off our face when we came with that. And they've won some more, but it's called Mucky Landing. Find it wherever you find podcasts. And I'm always telling people to go and listen to it. Don't listen to it for the theme song. Listen to it for the. It is funny. It's hilarious. Wow. And I can't say enough about these guys.
That's just real quick. You have a unique voice. You have a unique sound.
Oh, wow.
You have, how do you describe it? I think you do. I think you have a word for what you call your music, your sound.
Oh, yeah. Because for years, I always felt like people, you had to pigeonhole yourself. What kind of music do you play? Country, rock, indie folk, whatever. And I have always leaned towards, when people say, I have nothing against folk music, but I never felt that that's what was, I call my music indie garage. It's definitely got one foot in the, the garage band, Converse sneakers, and tube amplifiers, smell of gasoline.
Yeah, but that's what gives that unique edge to it.
I used to, for years, call it like singer-songwriter, and I still refer to it. But, what is that? I don't,
right?
That describes the person, not necessarily, in my opinion. I know that there is something comes to mind. But, yeah, there's some of my stuff. I don't know if did we talk about, did have a song that was just picked up to be in a movie, and talk about edge.
Tell us about that one, because that was going to be my next question.
Okay. Well, see, great minds.
You're good.
Get out of my head. So there is a platform that I put my music up on, and I submit to opportunities. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure I submitted to this one. I think I may have, but I think the guy just found me. He was on the platform looking for people like me who put their stuff up there. So it wasn't like it was a total accident, but it's for a movie, a horror movie. The guy's from LA. Should I tell you the name of the movie?
Yeah. I mean, if you can, go right ahead.
Oh, yes, I can. It's just it cracks me up. The name of the movie, and I'm not making this up, is called Meat Hook. There's a trailer, Meat Hook, the movie trailer, on YouTube, and it's very well done. When I saw it, I didn't recognize any of the actors. but it's not like my two sons spend some time every now and then watching cringe videos. This is where people don't know that they're cringy or they really think they're better actors than they are, and that's what makes it cringy. This isn't that. This is really good. The production's good. The acting's good from the trailer. The guy approached me and he said, and it's funny because he was emailing me on the weekend. I don't check my email. I don't know what that is. That's an old guy thing. I don't check my email on the weekend, even though I got the phone right there. He finally texted me, said, I hope I got the right number. I'm looking for the musician/songwriter Jim Rezac. I'm trying to use his piece. And so I frantically got a hold of him and said, yeah, let's talk. The song he wants to use is Trying to Be an Angel. The song I wrote, it is definitely edgy. He's got some grit to it. Trying to be an angel, then I should have put in parentheses, while the whole world goes to hell, because that's the next line. But it's, we agreed, and I asked him, I said, do you mind me asking you where you're going to use that? And he said, I thought, as a credits roll or, some.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He said it's going to be towards the end. Oh, let me tell you the story first. So Meat Hook is much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
I think it's got that vibe to it. There are a bunch of teenagers in the woods being chased by a guy with a meat hook. Kills them all except one, spends the rest of that a year trying to get her life back together and traumatized and horrified, nightmares and what have you. A year later, guess who's back? Mr. Meat Hook. And he has to, for some, and I don't know anymore. And the guy was smart because I've got a big mouth. I'd probably tell everyone the whole plot, but when we got to that part, I said, where are you going to use my song? He said, towards the end of the movie, the protagonist, the girl who's still living, who he's hunting down, is walking into a house where the killer is laying in wait for her. And I was like, oh my God, that's gold, Jerry. That's gold. I felt like, oh my God, that's good real estate. So that's where he's going to use it. And wow. I am excited. I've already told him, I said, I want T-shirts. I want to get some, give me the logo so I can make T-shirts. It's going to be released in 2024.
Okay.
They're in post production, so they're doing all that fine
cool
stuff. But but thank you for that. That's Meat Hook the movie. Look, theaters near you.
Near you, in Wyoming, Delaware.
Yeah. I told my mother, she goes, I could see her face on the phone. I couldn't, but I could just see her shaking her head like, what's with that name? That's horrible.
Not that I'm not a fan of horror movies. I just don't like watching them, but I might have to watch this one.
Well, so I'm going to be honest with you. It's not my sons. They watch this stuff, but I can, that's like a more of a slasher movie. And I'm thinking, it's not my cup of tea, but I have never had a song in a movie. This guy wants to put my song in a movie. I'm going to let him put my song in a movie. So,
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't a no-brainer. There was no artistic consideration. Am I going against my now? No, it was, and I like everything I see about the guy.
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun.
So have you given the name of your newest song coming out? Does everybody?
So I just had one come out. A song on Spotify came out yesterday that I'm still very excited about. That one's called FOR Crying. That definitely, I'm not going to pretend, I was channeling my inner Roy Orbison or Mavericks or something like that. And I threw together a video myself, just, something using stock footage online and basic transition. But the song is on Spotify, and I would love, if I were to direct anyone towards a song, I'd love them to hear that and get their take on it. But the song that's coming out in the official video that I have, the music video, is for Connecting.
Okay.
And that goes back a number of years, probably 2016.
Because I did play For Crying Sunday night, and it's an awesome song.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's different. My mom liked it. So
What was your inspiration behind that song?
I think that was I was in the studio, and I just came across. I strummed the first couple of chords. I go, ooh, and that's how it happens. I'm not making that up. It's not like I wanted to sit down and write about that subject matter, because a lot of my songs. My one son told me years ago. He said, "Dad, I like your songs, but why are they so sad?" Yeah, I said, "Well, there's some. I'm getting more and more." Upbeat, happy ones in there. And this is kind of a mix of both. It's got a nice beat to it, but there's, melancholy, kind of a little bit of sadness there. But it's, I think the inspiration to write that style, that it was just me accidentally coming across the right chords at the right time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just to go back a bit, because I wanted to ask this question earlier. Church key saints.
I had the privilege, and we haven't played in years now, since before COVID. I had the privilege of a couple nights a week after lessons were done practicing with two sisters, Savannah and Jessica. They were my backup singers, but each gig, when we finally got to, we played a handful of gigs, and they each got to do some solo work. And early on, it was just it was something different for my music. I was used to just playing solo stuff. So Church Key Saints, we needed a name, and we were coming up with crummy names. I mean, they were crummy. And we'd come up with one and pretend we were excited, but we knew we weren't. I was sitting here and I was flipping around one of those, back when you used to still, you buy a can of paint, they give you that thing to open it up with, on the other end of that.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed it. That's a bottle opener.
Yep.
And, if you're Irish, I'm going to take credit. I'm going to let the Irish take credit for his, yeah. We called them church keys. We called bottle openers church keys. Where's a church key? We call them church keys. So I said, hey, how about church key sinners? And they go, yeah, that's really good. And I ran it by my other son, Jake, and he goes, it'd be better, Church Key Saint. That's how that was born. And I love the name. I got a great logo by a local artist, but the band is no more. But I'm keeping that tucked in my back pocket because I think I even put it on a couple of songs I've released, Jim Rezac and Church Key Saints, when it seems like there's a whole band there. There's some of the bigger production I do, just to keep the name out there. You
have been from point A to point Z and everything in between, and you're still going. So that's the good part.
Yeah, I love it. It's what I do.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners that I haven't asked about?
Let's see. First of all, you were gracious, so very gracious in making sure that I told everyone, and I'll tell them again, how to get a hold of me. There's my phone number, 302-632-7282. But on social media, Facebook, Jim Rezac Music, and definitely please consider joining us and having a whole lot of fun in the filling station. If you want to hear my music, you can go to YouTube, also at Jim Rezac Music. The Twitch stream is that's under a different name, Delicaster. I know the viewers can't see this, but I think I showed you this, didn't I?
Oh, you did? Yeah. I like that one.
Yeah, that's I don't think there's much else I would tell them. I would just like to tell everyone thank you, because people are good. People tell you things, and it's not just, hey, I like your stuff. Yeah. Like you, they hone in on something specific, a specific line or a quality of your voice or whatever, and they really make you feel good and make you. I don't doubt what I'm doing, but if I did, these people would help me with that, because it's so, they're just so giving, and so I wanted to. Probably the last thing I would say is thank you to anyone who's ever clapped, showed up, clicked like, or whatever, because I really do appreciate it. It's not something we just say. That's great. And I say this when I do my interviews, it's, find you, like you, comment and share you. Go find your playlist, your songs, buy your singles. That is the way that we can support the indies here in Delaware, all the local musicians, everybody that I have met. You all work so hard. You have such passion and such drive for your careers in music, and the least that we can do is show up for you. I appreciate that. And that goes for not just us artists and musicians or whatever, anybody, we forget, we'll see something on Facebook and it's a simple click like. That's right. I drive people to YouTube and say, hey, I really liked your video. Did you click like? I don't think I did. Like, subscribe. Like you said, like, subscribe, and share. That should be a shirt. Absolutely. Right. Right. That's right. Absolutely. Are you working on a new project? I know you have so much going on, but do you have another project like in the works or burner? Yeah. One that I'm really excited about is an American song, which you can find already live. So I put my live Twitch songs up on YouTube. And there's one I wrote called An American Song, and it's snapshots of my childhood, kind of like, but in a way, it's just neat. It's the Sunday night group here on Twitch calls it the Cousins Song, and if you listen to it, you'll find out why. All right, cousins from New York. But I'm finally recording. I've had that for years, a couple years now. But I'm finally recording that today. I laid down 2 guitar parts and a banjo. I did the drums yesterday, and I might just keep it. I know banjo's like, wait, I thought you said you were edgy. But No, but I'm having a lot of fun. I think that one I'm going to keep a little more sparse. I'm even thinking about just leaving it just with that instrumentation. Maybe not
Wow.
bass.
Great. Well, Jim, thank you. Thank you for taking the time, for sitting down and sharing your journey. I have enjoyed it so much.
The gratitude is all mine because thank you. If I know why people like me do what we do, but I'm just glad there are people like you that think this is so important that you do it. And it's like, God, yes.
Yeah, I do. I do enjoy it. So thank you.
I've never said no to an interview, and I appreciate when we get those chances.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the R2RB podcast series. You can listen to the podcast on www.r2rb.com/podcast or on r2rb.buzzsprout.com. Are you a local musician that would like to be a guest on the R2RB podcast series? You can email us at info@r2rb.com. Have a suggestion for the next podcast interview? Send that to info@r2rb.com. Find us on Facebook at R2RB Broadcasting and on Instagram at R2RB. Until next time, keep the music playing.